Coffee, wind, nature, roosters.
Nanny, come on, booby. Bring the ball.
I've been thinking a lot lately about nervous systems and self regulation, and how those are things so many of us don't really learn until later in life, especially those of us who experience the world very deeply. I genuinely thought everyone experienced the world this intensely, but apparently, no. Whenever people ask me what it feels like to live with heightened sensitivity, the best way I can describe it is that life feels like a painting with wet paint constantly moving. Sometimes everything feels soft and watercolor like, light reflecting through trees, cold air, music, coffee in the morning, maybe someone laughing, rain hitting the ground. And other times it does feel bold and acrylic. Loud environments, tension, overstimulation, too many people talking at once, emotional intensity, stress. The best way to describe it is that everything just feels very alive. And I think that's why I've always been drawn to quieter environments and just slower movements. I like to be around people that speak somewhat in a calm or medium to low tone. They can't be too loud or they will likely overstimulate me. Um, and not because I dislike them, but because my nervous system genuinely needs space to process everything it absorbs. So, for context, I grew up in a very loving home. My dad, such a beautiful human, and also probably a cartoon brain who viewed the world through a painting, but I'll never know. Um, he struggled with mental illness. And because of that, I became very observant very young. I learned how to read moods, anticipate tension, read body language, silence. And it wasn't out of fear necessarily, it was more so from adaptation. But it took me years to realize that. And I think when your nervous system learns to constantly read environments, you carry that awareness into adulthood without even realizing it. And I think the interesting thing is that sensitivity doesn't only affect difficult emotions because it also affects joy and happiness too. I think I experienced life very fully because of it, and I love that. I love to laugh hard and cry hard and easily. Um, I love deeply and honestly. I'm very loyal, and I'm also very discerning. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. There's nothing better than laughing with people you love until your stomach hurts or suddenly feeling emotional because your dog looks genuinely happy running around outside. It's one of my favorite things. And sometimes I'll just think, wow, like I get to live this life this fully and this beautifully. Me. I feel so lucky. And yes, I know that sounds dramatic, but I think sensitive people experience awe very deeply too. I also joke that I have a cartoon brain because sometimes the way my mind interprets situations is so exaggerated internally that it's ridiculous. And usually, most people don't have a clue what I'm talking about or what I've just referenced. People think I'm crazy. But honestly, I think that same imagination is also what allows sensitive people to notice beauty, humor, and just meaning in places that most people might not ever. So, over the last few years, I have realized that sensitivity without regulation can become exhausting very quickly, especially in the world we live in now where everything feels loud, fast, performative, and constantly connected. My brain doesn't really shut off easily. I replay conversations, I think about how things could improve, I reflect deeply on people, systems, emotions, feedback, dynamics. And while that awareness can absolutely be good and valuable, it can make certain environments feel heavier when you naturally are someone that absorbs so much at once, especially at work. That's partly why solitude has become so important to me in my 30s. It's not isolation, it's just very intentional. I think that's why I also love living in the Pacific Northwest. because it teaches you to have appreciation for the gray skies and rain. Because without it, we wouldn't have the most perfect summers and the most beautiful flowers in spring and the fall colors. And it's just all so incredibly beautiful and an appreciation that I never had until I moved here. It's a really interesting contrast to feel things so deeply, the heaviness and the beauty, the overstimulation and the peace. And maybe learning how to regulate that instead of fighting it is one of the most important things we can do for ourselves. Because, yes, feeling life this deeply can absolutely be exhausting. At the same time, I also think it's one of the coolest ways to live this one life we're given.